Okay, folks, as promised, if you watched my thrift shop haul yesterday where I picked up a couple of films, I am reviewing The Horse Soldiers, directed by John Ford, as we continue to dig deep into the archives of Ford films, which most of them being collaborations with famed director John Ford. This movie came out the year my father was born, 1959. It was released June 12th, 1959. And ultimately, this picture was considered a box office failure, and we're going to dig into that. So, just a side note, this was a VHS copy, as you could see, horrible copy. This is a 1990 transfer. There was a flutter throughout the whole picture, and the tape is not damaged, so I don't know what was going on. I would like to see a remastered DVD copy of this. I don't even know if one exists. I haven't dug in too deep to see what's out there. But anyway, so this film has a 2-hour runtime, and it is based on a 1956 book of the same name by Harold Sinclair, where he wrote a novel based on the real-life 1863 battles that took place in Mississippi. A 17-day historic journey of these guys riding through the Deep South, Gearson's Raid, and the Battle of Newton Station, which took place in Mississippi. This film was filmed on location in Mississippi and Louisiana, and the reason it was a commercial failure is the extensive budget. I could not find a total budget number, but at the time, this movie, it's starring William Holden, one of my favorite actors, and John Wayne. They requested an insane fee. They were each paid $750,000 apiece to star in this picture. It is about the Civil War, like I mentioned earlier. And John Ford, I'm always looking for his style that I learned from the Spielberg movie, The Fabelmans, where he talks about don't look to the center. The upper part or the lower part of focal point is more interesting. And I do see some of that. And I've reviewed a couple of other of his films where they were kind of for me. And I find that he is a master of black and white. This was Color by Deluxe. It's okay, but it's not the best John Ford collaboration film. It's not my favorite form film. I kind of found myself scrolling on my phone as I watched it. It was okay. And then they kind of have this romance between Constance Towers and John Wayne, which seems ridiculous that this Southern woman of the Confederacy taken captive by the Union soldiers would have some romantic inclinations. It just kind of seems absurd and unrealistic to me. So Rotten Tomato critic average on this is 81%, pretty decent. 75% is the audience score with over 5,000 users reporting in. IMDb 7.1 out of 10. Though the movie, aside from it having an insane budget and not really making its box office totals back, I don't know, it's just kind of your typical, I don't want to say it's a Western. It's just not my favorite film. There was a tragedy. A stuntman fell off a horse and broke his neck towards the end of production and died. William Holden and John Ford did not get along, and they fought constantly throughout the film. And John Ford had a deep care and compassion for everybody in his production team. And when that stuntman died, he lost interest in the film, and there was supposed to be a final ending scene where these Union soldiers make it to Baton Rouge triumphantly. That scene was cut. He just kind of walked away, didn't finish the film as originally planned. So, I mean, I think the ending was okay. There was a really neat bridge that they built and then blew up with dynamite for the set. That was kind of a cool scene. But just overall, the stylization of the film, it just didn't draw me in. I see some points that Ford really focuses in, and it's kind of a sad movie overall for me. I did feel kind of sad when you think about the Civil War, brother fighting against brother. And it showed some dissension between the Confederates and the Union, but I think this picture kind of gives you an overview of the humanity that's brought in by the William Holden character, as he's a doctor and he's a Union surgeon. he's caring for the injured Union soldiers and the injured Confederate soldiers because they were all American. And so Ford kind of gives us this glimpse of compassion and humanity for your fellow man. So I think that's my takeaway from it, that it's just sad that there was this great conflict and tens of thousands of people on each side lost their lives over different ideologies, but they were still all Americans at the end of the day. And I think that's kind of the takeaway that I got, is just showing the humanity and compassion through the eyes of the William Holden character. And then the other side modus operandum is you find out that John Wayne's wife was submitted into a surgery that got botched and it wasn't even really necessary, and she ended up passing away. So the John Wayne character has this distrust of the medical community, and there's a lot of contentions between John Wayne, who's this cavalry leader, and then William Holden as the troop's doctor. So that's kind of an interesting story. But then again, they shoehorn this romance in there, and it just kind of seemed unrealistic for these two sides to kind of intermingle. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Comment down below. I don't really have much more to add. I almost would have rather have seen the movie in a sepia black and white as was pictured on the back of the box, but it was Color by Deluxe and it was horrible on VHS. Love to check it out on a digital copy. Until next time, we'll see you then.